You can start, Instagram allows you to do 10 a carousel. You can draw a cup, and you don't need to know how to draw. AI can do the drawing for you. You can take, existing graphics, put it in and put speed bubble. You can do it on your phone. So those are creative ways that you can start thinking of doing skits. You can do voice over slides. Today now there's AI that you can actually do a story. You put the whatever and just put your voice. I've heard of, and there's a group I joined, AI for churches, Americans. Somebody has done a 150 episode podcast that is purely AI. They just put his voice. AI created everything. 2 people talking, not just him. 2 people talking, and they were able to sample those voices, and 150 episodes of a podcast, at least maybe like 10 or 15 minutes each episode. It has an opening, has a closing, and this is sound biblical stuff. So what are we? What are we doing? There's so much. I like the fact that the church needs to empower us. But why are you waiting for the organization to do it? You have your phone in your hand. You can record a podcast. Start with 2 minutes. And start putting on buttons. Because you have a social media account, you have access to a lot. So why are you waiting? You are a missionary. What are you doing?
Why are you waiting? What are you doing? Okay, I just wanted to reiterate some of the points that they said that I think is very sound. AI, most importantly, Mrs. Ronke talked about. She talked about podcasts. Pastor Lala talked about comic books. I'm sure that right there in our minds, there are some things that we have probably thought about in the past that we might have forgotten, but I'm sure that God is bringing it to our remembrance. Those creative ideas that He has given us, it's time to explore them. What are you doing? Why are you waiting? You are a missionary. So this takes me to my next questions. Almost my last question, actually. Looking towards the future, what emerging digital trends do you see impacting evangelism efforts in the coming years? Looking towards the future, there are some trends that are emerging right now. So how do you think that, do you see these trends impacting evangelism? And yes, they would impact evangelism, but how do you think they would impact evangelism? And what are these specific trends? Yes, so I hope the question was very clear.
Let me start. AI is one trend that we're seeing now. AI is going to. It's affecting the way, just like I mentioned now. Somebody's doing a podcast using AI. That's one thing. And another thing I've seen, if you notice, after COVID or during COVID, Facebook created a section in their watch. Watch is that part where you see all kinds of live videos around. Facebook created a section for gaming. I don't know if you noticed. If you go and check, if you check your phone right now and go to Facebook Watch, you will see that there are millions of people that are watching somebody playing a game. They're just watching screenplay. It's kind of like Twitch. They were trying to. YouTube also says that the statistics that shows that gaming videos and that gaming industry is really blowing up.
Yeah.
I can't remember now, but there's a statistic I saw recently that shows that there's a massive population of people all over the world, including Africa, that are involved in gaming. So gamification is something that is massive nowadays. That's a platform that the world, that can actually influence, evangelism. Because ultimately, and I think this is one of the challenges that we're having as a church, we are finding it difficult to shift because there are so many things that are happening, back to back. COVID has happened and has introduced a new lifestyle trend. Now, before COVID, and there's a book I wrote just before COVID. Before COVID, statistics was showing that people are more online than they are offline. That online was becoming a lifestyle. We were fighting it in the church. COVID happened, we had to stay at home. We did online church, our version of online church for a while. And then eventually, the moment COVID, everybody go back, they're not in church, we're fighting it. Instead, the world is shifting and making adjustments. All of a sudden, remote work became a thing. Some of us have been working remotely for 19 of our we've been there. So all of a sudden, remote now became something that became an institutionalized thing. So we need to start rethinking, going forward. Somebody said this, and I will end with this. Somebody mentioned that genetics, robotics, sexuality. All these things are things that are happening next. We need to start teaching our children that you can be a Christian, and in the midst of us, because some of us don't have any template for that. We grew up when I was telling my children that we grew up when, I'm sure you can attest to this, 4 o'clock you see colored bags, or before 4, you wait, then they will start cartoon. We lived in Lagos for a while, so it's Teddy Rock, Adventures of Teddy Rock, Super Ted, Transformers game. Both Transformers and both. If you are watching Transformers, they brought it from abroad for you. And those are the things that we're seeing. And TV is limited between 4 and 6. My children can't understand. I mean, now you have TV 24/7. You have on-demand TV. You can choose what you want to watch on Netflix and choose what you don't want to watch. And that's the future. The future is people will say, this is what I want. We should be able to stay in their space. Somebody mentioned something called Habakkuk 2:14. That the knowledge of the glory of the Lord will cover the earth as covers the sea, as the waters cover the sea. And the person describes it as gospel saturation. What that means is that every human being, boy, girl, man, woman, will have a chance to hear the gospel. We can make that happen with digital. And we can't sit down and expect the pastor to look to do it. Because there are some people that Pastor Mayowa can reach, that that will never, that people in our space that you will never get. I don't know if you are getting my point. So if all of us getting involved, that's the only way everything will spread.
Absolutely. I just want to also add to, I don't know who's saying this name, they call it Wachu. So, it's amazing, fascinating. Absolutely get it. I'm so fascinated by, wow, oh my goodness, this is Nigeria, this is Disney. So, I think when we come to emerging, we're talking about emerging platforms and trends and so forth. How about we emerge? Let's start to we emerge. In gaming, we need to have people who are putting subtle Jesus in. They are putting subtle
Clear Jesus, because I know platforms where people are actually, they'll play a game and then they'll do Bible study after.
Wow.
Yes.
That's amazing. Because LGBT is putting subtle LGBT in our Coco Melon, in our everything. So we need to also people who are emerging, who are in tech. Because we need a lot of people. What church needs to do scholarship for people. You know how in the north, they do scholarship for their people. Because I guess the education is low. So church also needs to do scholarship for people to go in tech, so we can be creating movies about Jesus, cartoons about Jesus. Because when I had my daughter, I was trying to get some, it's hard. And that's what most Christians, how many Christians are in tech? How many Christians who are, not just Christians who are thinking of moving forward or evangelizing using these things that when you go to YouTube, go to TikTok, how many Christians? So we need to emerge. Let's not looking at trends that we emerge or platforms that emerge. We need to emerge. So what churches to do, like, I know we do food drive, do it, but churches to think about doing a scholarship drive to sponsor people to get in tech. Even Chinese do that, Chinese people do that as well. When they sponsor their people to America, and then when they go back home. So church needs to do just institutions, not just to get people educated, institutions that get people educated to get into the world and use their talents for Jesus. So we have, for Coco Melon, we have Jesus Melon. So yes, so our children have to listen to Coco Melon where the boy is just as a girl. There's for everything you have this, you have a ghost. For every glass you have ghosts. That's what we need. So church people, I talk about church empowering, that's what we need, because we can empower people and lock them down, not be fight, they won't come back and get them to the church. We send to America to go and study film, and you say you want to stay there. We will send them to Japan because they want to come back home. And one in for the kingdom.
All right.
That's what I think the church is establishing, because there are people who love to learn tech, who they just don't have the exposure to things. People who are beyond that or time of the doctor or the lawyer. But now we need to get into the minds of people. People are indoctrinating their children abroad to be president. People who are president today, they not just started today.
Yeah.
It's in Nigeria that one person just wake up and say they want to be a politician. In America, the Obamas, the Trumps, the Clintons, who were bred from when they were children. Tiger Woods is bringing his son to be, in golf now. People are in golf. So why are we doing that to our children? So we need to start sending people on scholarship to learn, to create everything that's out there, that is an alternative, that I don't have to miss watching Disney, because now Disney is now indoctrinating also for whatever. So that's where I would say we need to start going. Be intentional about creating our own alternatives to whatever is out there, because people are bold now. Bold with LGBTQ, bold with satanic stuff. So we need to also be, very bold and unashamed about also leveraging on this for us to bring intelligence of the child.
Wow. Okay, for every bus, there is a bus. That's not a word. Okay, final question. It's been a minute, so we can start getting our questions ready. If we have questions with the audience, we'll take one or two because we still have some time. So final question, but let me first direct it to the optimist to answer. How can churches leverage the power of storytelling and community building through digital media to connect with the younger generation? Because this is where it starts from. Pastor I said something earlier when he was speaking that his 3-year-old daughter was in the car, they were playing a Muslim song, and by the time they got home, she was already singing along. I mean, and this is, the generation is moving, and then these are the people that are coming up to fill in the spaces that we are currently in right now. So how do you think we can leverage the power of storytelling and community building through digital media to connect with the younger generation?
Okay, so I'll refer back to what Reverend Lad said about connection. So, as a photographer, if I take a picture and I know the audience I want to showcase that particular picture to, we cannot be talking about younger generation and I'm taking Baba 70 while worshiping. They can't relate with us. So definitely, I will go into children's church, how they are happy, how they are praising God, with their Bible story, and all of that. Those are the things I'm going to photograph. And whoever is posting, it might not be me, it might be somebody else, should definitely know that everything that is going there is sequentially arranged to let them understand that there is a church that my friends are. So you are connecting into the heart of that child through maybe Instagram or that flash video on YouTube. There's one YouTube for children. Yeah. So that flash video that children are praising God in children's church, memory verse and all that. Say the Bible story. So those are the kind of things I will photograph. I will not think about my pastor picture. No, I don't. I even want to see my pastor once. But just once. But the children, the happy moments, the smiles, the hug, the enveloping environment, those are the things I will showcase to the world. I think I've been able to.
Can I jump on that?
Yes, you can.
I also want to say, when it comes to storytelling, it's always intentional.
Yes.
There's no accidental storytelling. So, and everybody has a story. All of a sudden, you just see Pastor Femi Lazarus and his kid, Pastor Femi Lazarus, and all of a sudden, because there's someone behind his social media who is intentional. He preaches for maybe an hour, but you see a 2 minutes, and it's like, wow! And all of a sudden, everybody is everywhere on your feed. It's because someone behind his, whatever his intention now, about telling the Femi Lazarus story. So I need us to know that it's not, you have to be intentional about telling your story. If you have to learn, you have to go for a workshop, you have to do that. But also you just find it, always see this person on your feed. It's because they are being intentional about telling their story and showing you something. They're telling a story. It may not just be a story in 2 minutes, but we know more about Pastor Femi Lazarus now. I feel like, okay, thankfully I love my church, but I'm sure there are people that are Chimio. I know people who have decided to just join Fountain of Life just because. So it's not just because he has dreadlocks. There's someone behind his whatever that's telling an intention. And I think that's why I think we need that group of creatives. So it's not just, let's just take 4 minutes from pastor's message and just put it up. No. You have to be, there's people who are intentional, people who, storytelling, who are hiring people based on just being able to tell compelling stories about the company. Corporate comms is huge now. So it's important to know that when it comes to storytelling, it's intentional. So if you find that our church is not, sometimes we're not getting the riches, because you have to go back and tell your story in a compelling way. I can tell your story now, by the time you're getting the right getting there, you've forgotten. I can tell you a story now you will never ever forget. Just so how are we telling the story of Christ? Especially to the Gen Z generation that sometimes the attention span is not, so how telling the story is intentional. We must be intentional about telling that story in a way that, because communication is about what your audience receives as well.
Yeah.
So I can tell that I've spoken to you, whatever you like, I do with it. I've not communicated. Because you don't even know what Shokologobangboshe means. So if we're communicating and our audience, we have to do research. As church, we have to do research as well. How can our audience, what way can we tell our story in a way that our audience will receive it? In a way, like I said, once again, my example is Pastor Femi Lazarus. He's been there for ages. Apparently, I heard he came to Global Harvest one time, a long time ago, when he told that story about when he almost committed suicide. And I totally forgot. I didn't know him then. I know he came, I realized, but I know him for a long time. But when someone became intentional about telling the story, we see what's happening now. He's always been a great pastor. He's always been amazing. So we need to be intentional about telling our story. And who is our target audience? So who's your target audience? Who are you telling that story? So all of that needs to be done. Or else you're just going to be speaking and you're not going to be communicating. So that's so important.
Wow. Let me also, one of the mistakes I think we're making about social media is thinking that community is supposed to be on that platform. This is what I mean. So you have an Instagram account, and you think that that's the community that you have. That's not the community. The community is usually off it. Eventually, what we're supposed to do is use it to fulfill the mission of the church. The mission of the church, of every church, is one: make disciples that make disciples. So there are many iterations to it. There are many ways that we look at it. But ultimately, that's where we are going. And we can't make disciples if we don't have close contact. I mean, there's a research I heard, that in the Industrial Revolution, they were trying to raise children without any direct interaction with parents. So they put them in an orphanage and all that. They discovered that most of those children did not develop properly. There's a sense of attachment you need to have to somebody if you are going to grow, whether it's natural birth or natural growth or spiritual growth. I can testify to people that first 6 years of my getting born again, there was a particular person, Femi Fawoli, he stood on my neck. He was always calling me. He left school when I was in GS2, but he would always come to school every weekend to come and ask, Papa, what did you read from the Bible? So because of that, I have to shape up. I couldn't backslide. Where are you backsliding? They cornered you. So, and if you have been born again for 6 years consistently, there is no place you are backsliding to anymore. So we need to begin to understand that social media is like a window for people to see. What they see can attract them. When it attracts them, you need to take them into deeper conversations. Ultimately, for example, Pastor Lazarus is doing a lot of work. He's been around, church has been in Bodija, where One Factory was, for a long time. Yes, where One Factory.
He's still there.
Yes, you know where One Factory used to be? Yeah, they are the ones that are using that space now. So it's been around for a long time. But now everybody's here. And what usually you notice at the end of it, they will actually give you a call to action. You'll see more of these messages. Ultimately, and I've seen this a lot. Global Harvest, most of churches. So somebody joins online. For our own church, I did a digital pathway to guide people. So you are watching for the very first time. There's a link that you click that helps you to sign up and mention that it's the first time. Now, what do we do with those people? For example, and I don't mean to say this in any. So my church has, in the space of a year, we're able to get 400 people to an online church group, of which maybe about 100 of them or plus who are saying this is their first time of attending the service. What are we doing with them? Nothing. So yes, we are doing a great job with putting out content. The connection part which leads to community, we are leaving it open. And people, I've heard stories of people that got born again from TikTok, and somebody picked them up. Yes, these are not stories filed. These are people that I've seen, met face to face. Somebody gets born again. So we're doing a lot of content push, and people are seeing the content. But then where is it leading them to? It should lead them to somewhere. And it goes back to what you are saying about the strategy. If there's no intentionality, these guys that are doing LGBTQ, they are doing all these things. I've seen a satanist whatever that did a video, and they said they have a satanist club. Register your children here. Ultimately where they are going is, even if it's 5 people that they are able to get, if they can indoctrinate those 5 people, when LGBTQ started pushing, was less than 25%, what am I saying? Maybe less than 25% of the entire population of the US that were LGBTQ. But they created so much fear. That's small. So God doesn't need, how many people did God use to spread Christianity? 11 people, out of which, By Matthew 28, the Bible says when Jesus appeared to them, some of them doubted. And Jesus still commissioned them. And those 11 people are the reason why you and I are here today. So can we be more intentional about this thing? We have an agenda to push. That agenda is Jesus. That agenda is people that are discipled by Jesus. Can we be more intentional instead of just playing? I'm sorry. I don't want to sound someone, but I think we play church a lot. You know, so people come, we enjoy the ambience, and we go back home. We wait for another Sunday. But interesting, from Monday through to Saturday, somebody else is discipling us on our phones. You know, can we be more intentional? Can we start intentional groups where they are giving people close match? There's no chance for them to misbehave. Because, and intentional ones, I mean, you, especially if you have children and you have teenage children, you know that it gets to a point where you need to be in their space. Because after a while, they will leave the house and they will not ask to come here again. They will go away. You know, I'm in that place. So we need to be intentional. We need to really be intentional. And if the organized church is not being intentional, individuals can step up to the plate. Because ultimately, the gospel is going to go far because of the individuals that spread it. Not because of the joint work that we're doing. Praise God.
Praise God. Hallelujah. Do we have any questions from the audience? Because at this point, I am full. So do you have any questions, side notes, or if you'd like to say something or you'd like to ask a question? Okay, you might need to come up because of the people watching online. Okay. All right. So if there are any more questions, please let's also come to the front so that we can capture that because of people watching online. All right. Online too. If you have any questions online, can just drop it in the comments and we'll read it out for you.
First of all, thank you so much. Well, I think the one thing that kept going through my mind as you were speaking is the fact that we can probably sit through 50 of these very amazing sessions, and then you find out that after a week, no action. No. And so that was why I really enjoyed when you said emerge. And then I started thinking about last Sunday, which was hotspot. And I'm thinking about the fact that right now, the discovery will not allow you be complacent. So that's like big ups to Pierre. Yeah, we get it. But my question is about how you show up authentically, right? I studied psychology as a bad So something that is very personal to me is like vulnerability, being able to show emotions, being able to show up as yourself. But as a Christian, I've always had that message at the back of my head that your relationship with God is personal but not private. But the privacy aspect is why being a digital missionary per se is hard. Because there's always this voice like, oh, you're still on your journey. Who are you to be speaking to people? And I know PM has spoken to this because there was a time we did an evangelism series and you really broke it down like, oh, it's not pastors that will preach outside, it's all of us. But I think for me, my biggest challenge is the line of showing up authentically, but not showing what you're not supposed to do. Because when I think about my relationship with God, he's like my boyfriend. Like, there are things that will happen in the secret place that nobody should be privy to. And I think that that's what scares me about social media because there is so much that happens in another person's life that I don't want to see. Even if you're a Christian, there are private worship moments that I don't want to see because it just feels like I'm watching something I should not be watching. And I think that that's like my biggest fear. Like, I don't want to ever get to a point where the private moments now become the public display. Like Jesus' image, there was this picture that went viral last year. Someone was praying and she was crying. And the photographer took the picture of the tear dropping. But it was in corporate worship, so it was fine. But like you have influencers that I always sit down and ask my sister this, because you see people crying on the floor. I'm like, do you go? We got ring lights, so ring lights, and then pray.
you laugh.
So for me, the question is always like, how do you draw that line? Because I'm very particular about that line. I don't think vulnerability should be so personal, but I don't want it to now be inauthentic where I'm showing you what has been designed, but I'm not showing you the real me. But I also don't want to show you too much of the real me because I feel like there are things that God will say to you that are for you. And because you want to reach a particular audience, you now feel like you have to say everything or be everything. And I think maybe that's why I have not been merged. I'm very cautious.
Right.
I don't want to give you space.
Okay, fantastic. Let me just take a quick one because I mean, yeah, sometimes I get that well. I feel like I don't overshare because but your intentions. You know your intentions. You can. I can lie to everybody here. I can't lie to myself. And so you know. So I get it also to when I feel so you set up camera to cry. I don't understand. So but you get. But we all know fakeness. So for example, if I'm on a line and I was already talking to you and I burst into tears, it's not like I set up the camera to cry. Jobs. So we can all talk, and you, most especially, you know the gist. Funny of you say you don't like to see certain things. One of my guilty pleasures is watching reality TV shows sometimes. I know. You know, my friend. Sometimes I sit in certain places. One of my favorite things, sitting in certain places and just watching people just walk around and just be actually love it. So you say you don't see certain things, like there's just something I like seeing people in their rawness, in their realness. In there, so but it's okay if you don't want to show that. You are the one who determines your boundaries on social media. But just know that every time you show it authentically, which is why sometimes I overshare. Remember the person I said on air about how I had breast lumps, and I told my mom called me because she was listening to me already. Like, hey, that kind of thing. You say, but I know that I'm not sharing because I just want to tell you I had lumps in my breast. But I know how many people DM me and said, thank God you said this. I checked my breast and I actually thought this lump was, you are supposed to have lumps in your breast. So they tell us when we're young as girls that, oh, you have cocoa oil. I know that people have grown up not knowing that cocoa is not normal. And so a lot of women were telling me they went to do a pap smear and thank God they found this, they found that. For me, even though when I said that my mom chastised me, and I felt like, oh God, I overshared. But for me, when I heard those, you know, when I got that feedback, so for me, when I share, it's not because I want to tell you, even the Kardashians that we see, we don't know half of their lives, and they have. So is it in a 2-minute reel that you want to know my life? You can never. We don't know anybody on social media. Not even people that have reality TV shows. We don't know half of their lives. So don't be afraid that, as long as you know that I'm sharing because I know somebody's going to learn from this. Fantastic. And you saying, oh, I'm not there yet. See, if I take 2 steps, I'm still better than the person who has just taken half a step. And that person can learn a lot from me from how I've taken 2 steps. And don't be afraid of making mistakes. It's okay. One of the problems, one of the things I'm hearing from you also is, be afraid of making mistakes. It's okay to make mistakes. Most of our learning curve will be from making mistakes and being able to, and that's why we talked about church also giving grace to people. Yes, I'll make mistakes, but let's give grace to ourselves sometimes. So you will know when you're being authentic. You will know when I set up the camera and I want to perform, performative, whatever. I know I can lie to everybody. I know there's some rules I do like that. Okay, I get out of my car. I want to show you that I have my day. I get out of my car, then I set the camera, then I go back in my car. Quickly go back in my car. I open the door. I've edited it. But a normal person, creative will know that except I have a social, most of the time I only go with my tripod whatever I'm doing. Except I have a social media person who's just following me around. And even at that, I still need to edit because nobody's going to look at you a whole day of you, 1 hour, looking at a whole day of you. Even the Kardashians is edited to bring out the nuggets in their life for you. Because if you film me all day today, you see me, I'm trying to raise hair, there's nothing that's boring. But I'm going to show you the highlights. All we need to realize that social media is just a highlight of your life. It's just a reel of your life. So don't be afraid of being authentic and showing yourself. As long as you know that what I'm showing is not to show off, is not to, but to show somebody. For example, there are people who want to know what. That's why I like them, Tito. They're not, ashamed to. She shows us her worship. She shows us not what, because there are people who are able to gain from. Oh, okay, wow. So when I'm worshiping, this is how Yes, it's just a guideline. It's not that follow Tito's footsteps, but she's just showing. So there are people who really do want to, who by seeing your life and seeing how you do certain things, will be encouraged. Okay, so I'm not doing it wrong. When I do shabaraba, my shabaraba, it may not sound like pastors, but it's okay. So, but if I'm saying I can't speak in tongues online because it's not. then I will be depriving that person who says shabaraba and their tongues don't feel, it doesn't sound like pastors own, so it doesn't, but when they hear you, he sounds shabaraba too, he doesn't sound coordinated. Wow, so I'm good. You know, because a lot of people spend a lot of time online now than they will say we spend in church, than we spend anywhere. So you are the missionary who will show that, oh, shabaraba, it may not be that go, shaka, it doesn't sound powerful, but it's okay. I hope that makes sense.
From said, you need to just express yourself. From I'm a lover of self-development because I feel in that. I feel in my closet, but people see my face outside. I cannot forget 2023. I told people I don't want to work. No, 2022. I don't want to work. I spent close to $1,000 on a whole year. And I was feeling inside. But when I came out, it's almost like perfect. Because they are not seeing your steps. They are not seeing the processes. All they are seeing is your victory. Okay? So bring it on. Fail. Go back again. Fail. I don't teach photography. I make you fall in love with photography. Because I will show you step to step. It's not left to you to learn it and to learn it. I know someone that, for once, I did not say this is ISO, this is not short speed. But if the person handle camera,
let me add something to that. There's this concept called duckling discipleship. Duckling. So some of you may not have seen ducks before in Nigeria, but you see them. Usually when a duck is walking, the mother duck is in front. It's a straight line, unlike chickens. You know, and all of them are walking behind. You know. Now, everybody's eyes is on the mother duck, but it's also the duck in front of them. And as much as that duck is leading, the duck is a leader and you follow at the same time. That's who we are as disciples. There's always, if you say that, you are not doing well, there's somebody that is not born again. Better than that person. Do you understand what I'm saying? So we need to really step out. She said something also that, and led me to begin to think of discipleship. Everybody's being discipled. Every human being is being discipled. Your environment, such as people like all these constructs of LGBTQ is to disciple people, is to create influence in the minds of people. You can begin to show people how to pray. How they struggle. So just like she said, when I started praying in tongues, it was just one phrase. That was. But because I was in the group of people that would be praying, I had a friend that he prayed 4 hours. I said, Benga, I told myself, I said, if this guy doesn't get up, I'm not going to get up. And I've been praying before that time. He lay down on the bed and he was praying. I said, okay, we are the same age. So I stayed there. I will raise up my hand. After a while, I got so engrossed in the prayer, I even forgot that it was competition. So some of those things, and then you see people doing certain things, you see people laying hands on people. You see our children do it. Yeah, they've seen media and then they want to do the same. So you need those kind of things. One of the things that has helped me, and I opened this I still did it this year. I have like a chart where I put how, what I'm going to share online. I have like 3 major pillars. So there's business, there's digital discipleship, and I think there's spiritual education. I kind of just put it like that. Under each one of them, there are different other things. So if I ever want to go online now, and I'm like, when I'll just be saying things, if I share the story of how I struggled with a particular scene, it's in connection to something I'm about. But if I don't have any specific plan, I will get there. There are days you'll be inspired to speak. There's some other days that you and the camera look at yourself like this. So if you have those kind of structures, that actually helps you. You'll be able to share. And you share from that place of this is me talking to you. You'll not go too far. One of Leke Alda, I love Leke Alda. Leke Alda never started talking about his family until recently. If you've never seen any of his content, you will never know that he's married, he has children, until maybe like 2 or 3 years ago. And then recently he came out to say that he's had cancer, and all the time he had the cancer, was it possible? And you will never hear anything about it. Why is he coming out to share? Because he felt like it will actually help some people's faith to be better. So you can be measured with the things that you're sharing online. You don't have to share your entire life. I mean, just like you said, it's edited clips of what is going on. We know. Because you're just waking up in the morning and all your abs are, because you pour water on the body so that you think that well. I beg you. So I mean, you want to be able to, what you are doctoring online, you don't want it to be too different from who you are, but you also want to be careful about what you are sharing. So you are not sharing things that are very private. You know, people are wondering that
They're doing get ready with me. I see your pants and your bra.
Who wants to see that?
It doesn't need to be
You
that
don't-
real. Exactly.
My son, finally, be an experience. Let people experience.